All right, welcome. Today we are diving deep into the bug hunter's journey. We're going to uncover how you can find some really valuable security flaws on websites, but here's the twist. Not by being some master coder, but by thinking like a detective. It's all about understanding the rules of the game so you can figure out how to break them. Okay, let's get into it. So let me just start with this one big question. How in the world do you hack a website without writing a single line of code? I know, it sounds kind of impossible, right? But believe it or not, this is the secret to finding some of the most critical and, most lucrative security bugs out there. Well, the answer is something called a business logic vulnerability. Now forget about all that complex code stuff for a second. This is all about finding flaws in a website's rules. You know, it's kind of like a board game where you find a tiny loophole in the instruction manual, one that lets you, say, take an extra turn or grab a prize you didn't really earn. That's what we're doing here. To get you started on this, we've laid out a 5-stage quest. First, we'll pick our hunting ground. Then we'll map out the application. After that, the fun part, hunting for common flaws. Then we'll talk about how to report what you find for maximum impact. And finally, we'll set you on the path to becoming a pro. Okay, let's kick it off with Section 1, choosing your hunting ground. You know, just like any good adventure, the prep work is absolutely crucial. Picking the right target from the very beginning, that can make all the difference. So where do you even start? A platform like HackerOne is honestly fantastic for beginners, but the trick is to use the right filters. You're looking for programs that actually say they welcome new hackers. You want a minimum bounty of over $500, because hey, your effort should be rewarded. And you want programs that respond in under a week. That way, you know you're not just shouting into the void.
And just as important, you need to know what to avoid. See any red flags? Steer clear. I'm talking about programs with super restrictive rules, or ones that kind of look like ghost towns with no payouts in months. Your time is valuable, right? So you want to hunt where there's action and a real shot at a reward.
On to Section 2, mapping the application. So you've got your target. Now you need to really understand it. This is the real detective work. You can't break the rules if you don't even know what the rules are supposed to be in the first place. This is where you put on your business analyst hat for a minute. Ask yourself the simple stuff. What are they selling here? How does the money move around? Is it a one-time thing or a monthly subscription? Seriously, understanding their business model is like finding a treasure map. It points you exactly to where the most valuable things are, and that's where the most impactful bugs are usually hiding. So with that business model in mind, we can take our first few technical steps. You can use free online tools to find all the different parts of a company's website, and a simple browser extension can tell you what technology it's all built on. But the most important thing? Just start exploring the site with a tool like Burp Suite running in the background. Think of it as a web traffic recorder. It's like your digital notebook, just capturing every single interaction for you to look at later. And that brings us to the main event, everyone. Section 3, hunting for common flaws. We've got our map, we've got our notes. Now it is time to actually go find those hidden loopholes. A classic, and I mean classic place to start, is with privilege escalation. It comes in two main flavors. You've got horizontal, which is kind of like peeking at your coworker's private files. You're not supposed to see them, but you have the same job title. Then there's vertical, and that is way more powerful. That's like a regular employee suddenly getting the CEO's master key to absolutely everything. So let's start with a perfect beginner-level flaw, the registration logic bypass. This happens right at the moment you're creating a new account, a moment that, believe me, is often full of assumptions that we can put to the test. Now this slide might look a little technical, but the core idea is brilliantly simple. When you sign up for something, your browser sends a bunch of info to the server in the background, and sometimes it includes a little parameter like role equals user. So, what if you just change it? What if you switch that word user to admin, and the website just goes, okay, you may have just pulled off a vertical privilege escalation and taken over the whole system. Simple as that.
Okay, building on that same idea, let's move up to an intermediate level flaw. Price manipulation. This is where we directly target that how do they make money question from our investigation earlier.
Again, don't worry about all the text here. The concept is what really matters. When you go to check out, your browser tells the server you're buying something for, say, $100. But using a tool to intercept that message, you could change that price to just 1 cent before it ever gets to the server. And if that system doesn't bother to double check, it might just sell you that $100 item for a penny.
All right, you ready for an advanced technique? Let's talk about the payment flow bypass. This isn't about changing a value anymore. This is about skipping a critical step in a process entirely. The logic here is so simple, but so powerful.
Every online purchase you make ends on a success page or a thank you page, right? So what if you start the checkout process, but before you even type in your credit card, you try to just go directly to that final success page URL? If the website gets confused and thinks the order is complete, well, you might have just gotten a product without ever paying a dime.
Now for Section 4, Reporting for Impact. Look, finding a bug is an amazing thrill, but a clear, professional report is what gets you paid, and it's what earns you respect in this community. It is the final and absolutely crucial step of the whole quest.
A winning report leaves zero room for confusion. It needs clear, numbered steps so the security team can see exactly what you did. It needs proof, like screenshots. And, probably most importantly, it needs to explain the business impact, not in a bunch of technical jargon, but in plain English, explaining how this could cost the company money or expose their users' data.
This slide right here gives you a perfect template to follow. A clean title, a quick summary, those critical step-by-step instructions, and a super clear statement of impact, and even a helpful recommendation. A report that looks like this shows you're not just a bug finder, you are a professional problem solver.
And that brings us to our final section, your path to pro. This is where the journey really truly begins for you. So what comes next, after you've learned these fundamentals?
Well, your first 3 months could look something like this. You start by mastering the basics, the recon and testing login systems. Then you move on to those authorization flaws we just talked about. After that, you can start hunting for even more complex bugs. This timeline turns a massive, overwhelming topic into a structured and totally achievable path.
If you take away just one single thing today, let it be this. This isn't just about technology. It's about understanding the business first and then finding where the technology fails to enforce the business's own rules. It's about psychology, it's about business, and it's about process. So, you now have the map, and you have the mindset of a bug hunter. The digital world out there is just full of hidden rules, hidden processes, and assumptions that are just waiting for someone like you to test them. The only question left is, what hidden rule will you find first?